Hey everybody, Dan here, and we're going to do a mukbang together, and we're going to incorporate our Q&A with this mukbang. So what I want you guys to do right now is pause this video, because I want you to come back when you have some food, when you have a snack, a bag of popcorn, go get your dinner, go get your lunch, go do something, come back and join me for lunch, and we're going to go ahead and do Q&A about our lawn service questions, some pressure wash questions, a little bit about work here, and a couple personal questions you guys have asked me. So we'll just go ahead, we'll clear the air, we'll get all that going. So come on back as soon as you get some food, join me for a mukbang, and I'm doing teriyaki chicken, maybe, could be cat, I don't know, steamed vegetables, but probably more like vegetables warmed in the microwave in a saucer with a little bit of water, and some brown rice, which I'm not even going to really eat the rice. I just wanted the chicken and vegetables, and the guy didn't really understand me when I was telling him what I wanted, which was chicken and vegetables. So that's for my lunch. I got 30 minutes to kill, and you guys got some questions, so let's go ahead and work together. Let's do lunch. Yeah, I don't really want to do the rice. Anyways, you see me back in glasses. The contacts didn't work out too well. The problem with the contacts is I need bifocal lenses, which we use what's called progressive. So as you look down, the lens changes progressively to bring things closer. Well, they don't make progressive or bifocal contact lenses, because once they're on your eye, you can't look down. The contacts move with your eye, so it's not like lenses, you know, like glasses. So it's kind of like a happy medium. And what I found was, after wearing them for a couple days, is things that were far away, I couldn't really see the difference in the trees, like with the leaves. Things that were like 50 or 60 yards away, as I was driving this truck, looking out the windshield, I couldn't see if it was a tree stump, a child, or a dog. I could just see that there was an object by the side of the road, and it would be too late for me to react if it was a kid or a dog running into the street. I couldn't make it out. Like, I couldn't make out if it was a guy or a girl down the road. I could just see somebody down the road. It was really weird. And then, like, up close, I couldn't read my text messages. It's too close. I had to hold it away at, like, what's called computer length. So about as far as your monitor would be from you. And that was good. So driving down the road, I could see my instrument cluster really, really good, but I couldn't see my paperwork, and I couldn't see far out. So I ended up going home Monday in the middle of my day, letting my dogs out, taking the contacts out, and putting my spare glasses back on. And the new glasses were, there's MVP and there's FVP. They're two different style of lenses. And the style that they gave me gives you a much narrower field of view, and then it goes into like, you know, a prescription for reading, and that was making me nauseous because it was like fishbowling me. And again, didn't really realize that until I was in my truck driving, and then I was like, oh man, this isn't really working. So I went back, and they realized they gave me glasses that would be good for people that are very stationary, sit at a desk all day maybe, you know, stuff like that, not somebody that moves a lot. So they reordered me glasses, and they should be in a few days, and they'll tint and all that. So I'm wearing my old ones for now, which are okay, they're fine, but I need a stronger reading prescription. So so that's the deal. So contacts are out, so sorry about that. This is a good cat. Anyways, if you're not familiar with a mukbang, it's actually pretty gross in theory. You sit here and you watch people eat. They'll describe the food. They make slurping sounds. Like, the audience wants slurping sounds and crunching sounds and drinking sounds. I think that's disgusting. So don't mind me. I'm going to try to eat. without being too gross. And we're going to jump right into it. Number one, on a personal note, somebody asked me if I had any videos about my divorce. One day he watches a video and I got 100 yards, and the next day he watches a video and I got a job working for a company and I got just a few yards. He's probably really confused, and I can understand that. I do have a bunch of videos actually that talk about my divorce to a point. I didn't use this channel as a weapon against my ex-wife or as a tool, you know. That wasn't my thing. But I don't know if I ever explained it, because I'm not really sure if I knew what was going on until more recently. Than I just know that once my ex-wife and my children left my home, it was very difficult to get out of bed and go do lawns when I was building the business to do it with my family, with the thought that my kids would be around to help me mow, and if not take over the business, make money from the business. Ooh, I just spit. And my ex-wife would be in the house doing the paperwork. And so every time that I would have to come home from work, I'd be mad that I now had to do the paperwork that she's supposed to have been doing. That's what I worked so hard for, building the business. And so it really was putting me in a constant dark spot, you know, always angry. And I was taking it out on my channel because I didn't want to film because I was frustrated. So I needed a change. I needed a career change. I wanted benefits. I needed to close that chapter of my life and open up a new chapter. And so that's what I did. I have no regrets doing it. I still get to mow lawns, and I enjoy mowing lawns a lot. Green pepper. And snappy little thing. And I enjoy the fact that I make money with this company, and I have benefits and 401k and vacation and sick days, and I can make a living. And not only can I make a living, but I can do the charity with the yards because I have this job to make a living. So it works out for the charity. It works out for the clients to do tax write-offs if they print their receipts that they pay to charity. It gives me content for you guys. You guys maybe get to be a little motivated and inspired to do something in your neighborhood similar with charity. It's a win-win for everybody. So that's what that was all about. It wasn't like, you know, I lost the business in the divorce or anything like that. There was nothing like that. It's just I couldn't do it. I could not keep doing it. Nobody's planning on kissing me right now, are you? So I'm going to have an onion. Maybe. So that's why we got, that's not why we got divorced. That's why I got rid of the lawn business, you know, in a big way. That's the deal there. All right. Let's get into my job here. Yes, obviously I'm still working. I still like it a lot. I'm no longer working 65 hours a week. I've cut that down to about 50 to 52 hours a week, but I'm still making about the same money. Because I've gotten far more efficient at my job. I know the ins and outs of the streets better. I've learned my way around a lot. Old customer. I told him I was going to do a mukbang, and he was like, oh, that's cool. So, like, I've learned a lot with different traffic patterns and how to get in and out and get quick. I'm still doing about the same amount of points a day, but I'm doing it in about an hour to an hour and a half less each day. So what that does is it gives me less hours, but it increases my hourly wage because of the arithmetic, the way that our point system works. I've explained that in past videos. So I'll go back in the Talking Trash playlist. I think it says My Journey to Become a Garbage Man or something like that. Go back into that playlist, and one of the last videos I posted talks about our pay structure and the points and stuff like that. And so, you know, I was doing about $2 or $3 on average more an hour than the standard industry here, or the industry standard here. Now I'm doing like $5 an hour more than the industry standard. But I'm making a lot less hours, so my paycheck's a little bit smaller, but that's because I'm working a lot less. So my paycheck's not a lot smaller. So if that makes any sense to you guys, it's working out very, very well. And I do take time to eat lunch now, and I've chilled out. I mean, I've gotten better at my job, and I enjoy it. The benefits are great. I've been using the hell out of the dental plan. I don't want to smile right now because I probably have food in my teeth, but I got to work on that bottom tooth that's growing like a freaking savage. But all my top teeth, I've done so much with my dental plan, my vision. I haven't used any of my medical, like my health. I've been good there. 401k is rocking. They do 3% match. So the first 3%, they put money in the account for you. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so let's get into the weed eater. Why do I take the shield off my weed eater, and do I feel responsible if anybody else takes their shield off and goes out and hurts themselves or hurts somebody or hurts property? Nope, I don't. Number one, I never tell anybody to take their weed eater shield off. I never will tell anybody to take their shield off. And in any video I've ever had, or in any comment I've ever had, I'd always say, manufacturers suggest that you keep the shield on, so if you can, get used to using it with the shield. But I take the shield off because people ask me why I take the shield off, and so that's why I answer them why I take the shield off. But I'm not trying to promote you guys to do something one way or the other. I take the shield off for a couple reasons. Number one, I like my line to be longer than the factory length of where the razor is on the shield. If you ever watch somebody weed eat and they're like really high RPM and they're like getting nothing done, that's because their line's too short, and I can't stand that. So I take that shield off because I want my line longer. I don't want to have to be full throttle and irritated and aggravated. I'm mostly half throttle, or I'm burping the throttle, just keeping the line going. And you know, that to me, it gives the line like a longer tail, so it's softer. The tail coming around is softer. It doesn't fling stuff as much. It's actually just the opposite than the short line. Short line spinning at a certain RPM is going to be stronger than, you know, a really long line. And if you really exaggerate it, if you take a garden hose and swing a garden hose around, if you hit something, the garden hose is going to quickly collapse because it's so far away from the center. But if you take, you know, something really small and swing it around, it might cut through because it's really close to the center, to what's spinning it. Maybe that makes sense to you guys, or maybe it don't. But a really long whip, when I say a really long whip, I mean like 1 or 2 bumps more than the factory cutoff with a razor is, allows the whip to be softer at the end. It picks up less crap, believe it or not. So people say, how do you weed eat with no guard? How do you weed eat with shorts? The only thing that gets on me is grass clippings. I don't get beat up with rocks and mulch and all that stuff. Nothing flies and flings. Now, when you're edging, your shield's not going to protect you. So if you're edging with your weed eater, or if you're grinding weeds with your weed eater, you're going to send a rock through a window just as fast than if you have a shield. Than if you don't have a shield. It's not going to make a difference because, for one, the window's in front of you and the shield's behind you. So if you hook a rock, it's going to fly to that window. It doesn't make a difference where your shield is. So the manufacturer says leave it on because it's better for the clutch and the shaft and the gears to have a smaller line because it's less strain on the engine and the clutch and all that stuff. So leave it on and try to get used to it if you can. But if not, if you want to take a hacksaw and cut the razor blade part off, so that way you can bump it longer and still have the shield on, so that way you can feel like you're being protective of your surroundings, then be my guest. You know, but I take the shield off for the main reasons, because I like my whip longer than what they give us. Number 2, if I edge with the weed eater, edge flower beds, or grind down weeds, the shield blocks my view. Straight up, plain and simple. It blocks my view, and I don't want it. I don't need it. And when you're edging, the shield's not going to protect the rock from flying out of the grass crack and breaking a window or hitting a car. Anyways, so I'd rather have the full field of view of what I'm doing than be blocked by the shield. That's my preference. And then the third reason is you can walk up to an object in your yard and you can bring the weed eater all the way around the object while your feet never move. You can go whoop right around it and then keep on going. And when you have a shield, you'd have to put the shield over the object, and if the object's too tall, then you won't be able to weed eat it because the shield's going to hit the object. So something like a fire hydrant's very close to hitting your shaft, but you can go all the way around something almost like a fire hydrant when you don't have a shield on, because you can hit it with all sides of your weed eater head as you go and then walk on. Takes a little bit of practice, but you can do it. I do it all the time. You guys see me do it all the time. When you have a shield, you can't do that, so that slows you down. So those are the main reasons. Those are the three reasons why. Longer whip, the vision, and being able to go around an object or obstacle, whatever, much easier. So that's why I take the shield off. This is good. Green pepper again. So another question is, what's the difference in weed eater line thickness? I use 0.080. I link to it in all my video descriptions. The reason why I use 0.080 is because a thinner line cuts easier. And I've used this analogy before, but if you can imagine a thinner line being thin like a steak knife, and a thicker line being dull like a butter knife or a brick, depending on how thick you're going with your line, what do you think's going to cut through weeds better? And that's all I'm talking about right now, is cut through weeds better. A thinner line is going to lay weeds down like there's no tomorrow. It's going to cut right through it like a sharp razor blade. 0.065, 0.080, those two sizes will put weeds down like there's no tomorrow. It'll weed eat grass like there's no tomorrow. You don't have to be screaming it full throttle. It'll cut right through it like a razor blade. But you'll be constantly tapping your head because, 0.065 line is going to break pretty quick, so you got to be careful. You don't want to use it on wood, weeds that have a lot of wood showing, like brush and stuff. But like 0.080 is a really good happy medium between 95 thousandths and the 80 thousandths. 80 thousandths is awesome. Or 95 thousandths and the 60 thousandths. The 80 thousandths is awesome. I mean, you got to hold it on the ground. If you want to break it, say you bump it too much, it's like, oh damn, I got too much line. It doesn't just break right off, so you got to really go throttle and hold it on the ground to cut it. But it's thin enough to easily cut through with less RPM. And when you're grinding weeds down or topping your flower beds, whatever you want to call it, it's a thinner line. It cuts through easier, and it doesn't have the rigidity or the strength behind it to fling rocks and mulch as easy as thicker line. So I tell people all the time, check out the line that I link in my description. Try it. It's a 3-pound spool. Try it. Tell me what you think. And every single person that has tried it has come back and said they love it. They'll never use anything else. And I mean, there's people that use like the 3500s. It's like 135 or something like that. I mean, good Lord, more power to you, man. But that is some really thick line. If they put the 80 thousandths on, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves. It makes a huge difference. Really does. It's pretty neat. But you will tap it a little bit more. So it's up to you what your goal is at the end of the day. I can do about 20 houses on one spool. About 6 arm lengths. I can do about 20 houses. A 3-pound spool, man, that lasts me a long time. A really long time. But I also mostly edge with an edger. So that's another thing you guys ask me about too. Why do I edge with an edger? Isn't it faster to edge with a weed eater? Sometimes. But I've never had a customer say, oh good, you used a weed eater to edge. Never had a customer say that to me. But I've had many customers say, oh good, you use a metal blade to edge. They like that. I don't know why. I don't know if it's something old school. They think they're getting their money's worth if they see you exchange equipment. I don't know. I had a guy, Al, I used to work with way back in the 90s. He used to say, I cut the grass, you write the check. I don't tell you how to write the check, you don't tell me how to cut the grass. The guy was a trip. He had an awesome business. Very successful man. And that's something to think about. If that's your attitude, more power to you. That's not my attitude. Customer wants something done a specific way, I'll do it that way. Even if it's wrong, I'll do it that way, but I'll let them know. You know, hey, your grass is too short. I shouldn't be cutting it at 2 inches. That's why it's burning up. I don't care, I want it short. I don't want fleas and ticks in my yard. That's not why you have fleas and ticks in your yard. But if that's what you want, ma'am, sir, ma'am, you got it. 2 inches it is. Thank you, may I have another? Make that check out. That's it. So, you know, but he'd be like, I'm going to cut your yard at 3 1/4 inches. I'm going to cut it one time. So if I don't come often enough, if there's crap left in your yard, that's your fault, not me. I need to be here once every 7 days. Oh, I can't afford it. Come every 14 days. Okay, well, I cut it once. He'd cut that yard one time, and if it looked like shit, he left. He was like, I don't get paid to cut it twice. Why am I going to cut it twice? I get paid to cut it once. and that's how he was. His name was Al. He's awesome. Dang, it's been 22 minutes already. My food's getting cold. So, I like to use the edger because to me it's just, I don't know, it kind of breaks up the monotony sometimes. Like I start with the edger, I just go around and I edge, and it gives me an opportunity to warm up to the yard, look at all the cracks and the weeds, look at everything that's going on, edge the flower beds, know if I need spray, if I can top it with the weed eater, gets me ready. And then when I'm done edging, I know if I'm going to mow first or weed eat first, depending on what I saw. And then when I'm weed eating, I can go back over the edges if the edger blade kind of missed something here or missed something there as I'm cleaning up the cracks and as I'm going around the edge of the lawn. And that's another question. People say, why do I go around and bevel the lawn? Why do I weed eat around the driveways and sidewalks, like the edges where you edge? Why do I weed eat that down? I don't weed eat it down. I weed eat it to the height of the mower. And the reason why I do that is because as you're mowing, every yard's different, and there's so many different areas in the yard that's going to be different. For example, where they drive their cars on the driveway, they might go into the yard a few times, and so the grass is lower than the driveway, and the mower is going to leave stragglers. And even though it's the same height as the rest of the yard, it doesn't look right. So going around there, the weed eater gives it an opportunity to get those stragglers down a little bit, make it nice and uniform carpet looking. And then when you have it really tall, real tall edges, you might not want to hang your mower onto the sidewalk, because that might make the mower go like this because you got tall grass. You know, you got thick, tall grass, and it's so high, and then your mower falls on the sidewalk, and when you're mowing, the blade's burning the grass. So you go and you just do a little bit right there, so that keeps you from having to drop your wheels onto the concrete. Not really beveling the edges. It kind of looks that way, but you're really not. You're going for that nice flat appearance. Why don't I stripe? Yards are too small to stripe where I work. It wouldn't make any sense. It's not worth the effort. As long as the lines are straight, the grass is green, and it looks like a nice carpet, that's all I go for. And then if they got landscaping and stuff like that to look at, house design to look at, things like that. I like stripes in big fields, big properties, big corner lots, stuff like that. Stripes are cool. Our airport, they stripe our airport here, and they do a really good job. I don't have anything against stripes. I just think there's a time and place for it, and it ain't down here. Ain't in these little yards. It's just not worth it. What else? When I edged, why don't I use the wheel when I edge? You just don't need to. When the blade's going around and it's hitting the dirt in the between the crack, you know, it kind of holds the machine up for you. You just kind of aim it and go along. You find that happy medium. You don't need to run the wheel on the ground. And when you do run the wheel on the ground, you might find that the wheel's driving the edger and you're not edging the way you need to edge. If you hold it up, you can control the blade with your hand, your forward hand on the handle, and you can move right along and you can run that blade right down the edge of the crack and do a really good job, faster than trying to use the wheel. The wheel is going to steer that blade and you're going to be fighting the wheel. And then when you hit a rock, the wheel is going to bounce and the blade's going to go across the concrete. So that's why I don't use the wheel. I took the wheel off and immediately put it back on because the wheel was acting as a shield. Without that wheel, I was getting destroyed with debris. Straight shaft edger at first, curve shaft edger. I didn't have a preference. I've used a curve shaft my whole life. And when I went to buy edger attachment for my combi system for the steel, the owner of the place was like, check out this straight shaft. It's got bigger gears and it puts more torque in the blade at a lower RPM. So you're going to sling a lot less. You're going to make less of a mess. And it's going to really have the power to go through and it's going to match up great with your formix. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say I'll never use a curve shaft again, but I'll never intentionally buy a curve shaft if there's a straight shaft available. It made a huge difference. Less vibration, less RPM. It's just, it goes right through them and a lot less cleanup. Sorry. All right. Do I still like my Honda? I love my Honda mower more and more every time I use it. I'm getting better and better at it. That thing's awesome, man. That Honda mower, boy, I tell you what, that's probably the best purchase I've made in this business so far. For dollar for what that thing does, what an unbelievable mower. Really highly recommend that mower. Is this mukbang okay, or is it gross? I'm trying to not be gross. That was gross. Let me see, what else? A few pressure wash questions you guys have. Hey Dan, I got this 2.7 gallon per minute Troy BILT or 2.3. Can I reach second floors with it? Do I need to buy an extension wand? A lot of people have commented in the past on my channel about their little Troy BILTs and stuff like that. And even with the pink tip, you're going to struggle to reach the peak of a second story or a chimney. So be prepared to have like a 6 or 8 foot step ladder and have the pink tip. Now, I haven't done it, but people say that you can go and buy like a 3 foot extension to put on your lance. So you take your pink, black, white, yellow tip out, and that's 1/4 inch NPT. You'll have a 3 foot extension that goes in there just like a tip, and then it has the part on the end to put your tip. Put your pink tip on that 3 foot extension. That might be all you need to get up higher. Gallons per minute makes a huge difference though. The gallons per minute is what cleans. That's what, that moving water is what cleans and rinses everything, delivers more volume of water. That's what it's doing. So if you can deliver more volume of water to the same surface as somebody delivering less volume of water, you can move along faster. Unless you got tall heights, there's really no reason for you to go bigger than your inexpensive Troy BILT. Unless you get into a rush or you need to be able to do more houses in a day because it's your first line of work. Then you start needing your 4, 5, or 6 gallon per minute pressure washers. Until then, pink tip, get the 3 foot extension, get a 6 foot step ladder, and you can run your business. And you might, it's going to take 1 or 2 houses for you to learn your limits to where you can say, no, I can't do that job, ma'am, I'm sorry. And then, it gets to a point where you go, all right, now it's time for me to go like Dan, get a 4 gallon per minute, I see him reaching really high or over, and that's when you make that move. But your little 2 gallon per minute pressure washer, you just got to move slower. All right, what I can do in 10 minutes is going to take you 20 minutes, but you can do it. I did it. That's how I started. Do I use my own water or do I use the customer's water? Everybody uses the customer's water. Even the guys with them great big tanks. They got to keep them tanks full. And the reason why they have those great big tanks is, number one, so they can do work that is, you know, they don't have to pass on work, if that's the word I'm looking for. Hang on, sorry. Okay, they don't want to pass on work, so there might be some work that people don't have a water source, so they now have their water source. But see, those guys with those big old tanks and those big old equipment, the big pumps, their pumps are drawing more water than a garden hose and a home spigot can provide. So they plumb into these big, huge tanks that have a lot of water feeding their pumps at you know, all the time, so their pumps don't cavitate. That's why they have those big giant tanks, to feed their big giant pumps. But they'll hook a garden hose up to the customer's home and keep their tank topped off while they're working. There's floats and stuff like that open valves and shut valves, so the customer's water's not overflowing the tank. It'll shut off at a certain point. So everybody uses the customer's water. That's a general statement. Maybe some don't, but that's why they have those big old tanks. So don't be afraid to go out there, and when they say, "Are you going to use my water? Do I get a discount?" You say, "Well, everybody uses the customer's water. They have those big old tanks to service their big old pumps." Let me see what else. Do I pre-rinse or pre-wash, pre-wet anything? Nope. The bleach setup, regardless of how you do it, if you follow my recipe, whether you're downstream injecting 10.5 or 8 1/4 straight in, or if you're mixing it the way I show you guys to mix it with a pump sprayer, a hand sprayer, it's too thin. You're pre-wetting anyways. You're just pre-wetting with a little bit of bleach in there. It's too thin. Delicate flowers, cover them or remove them if they're in pots. But I have not had any complaints ever from any customer about any discoloration of any wood fence, although it will discolor it, but I did a video that shows you guys how to handle wood fences. I have not discolored patio furniture. I haven't burned plants or anything like that. Move the patio furniture, and plants are robust. They'll be fine. You're not spraying strong enough. That's the thing. And the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, because it's been 34 minutes and I got to get going. Will my mix work on roofs? No. It's too thin. It doesn't make a difference. Why don't I do roofs? Because I'd have to go much hotter with my mix. And then I'm going to start hurting plants. And I'm going to start... There's so much easy work to be out there. People say, "Oh, you're nothing but a splash and dash kind of guy." Yup. You can go climb roofs. You can go do that fancy stuff. You can haul around $12,000 pressure washers and water tanks. And you can haul around 3-axle trailers. And you can haul around, use a $70,000 diesel truck to do it. You can do all that. More power to you. I love you. And I'm going to send work your way when I get jobs that I can't handle. But there's so much work out there. I can go make $100 right now at a trailer park with a 2 gallon per minute Troy BILT and go clean somebody's mobile home with a little bit of bleach, and I can do 4 of those in a day and make $400 and almost profit that whole $400 because I'm not using any gas. I'm using the water on the site, and I'm using a few gallons of bleach per place. You know, it all depends on what you want to do, where you want to take your business. I don't want to mess with stuff that increases my liability, causes me to have exorbitant insurance fees. I don't want that. I want to show up, I want to splash, I want to dash, and I want to get the cash. And I'm going to leave the customer happy. I'm not screwing anybody, and I'm not screwing the customer. They know what they're getting. I tell them exactly what I'm going to do. And if they want it, better. If they want oil stains out of their driveway, I tell them to call Mike. I tell them to call Pro Wash. I tell them to call, you know, these other companies with heated water tanks. Because that hot water breaks up the viscosity and that helps get the oil up. I don't do that stuff. I just tell them it'll look better. Your driveway's going to look great when I'm done, but it's not going to look like new. These stains will still be there. They just might not be as bad. Oh, that's fine. Okay. Give me the money. I'm honest. That's about it. Using a mic to talk to you guys with a TRRS connection. If you guys want to know what that is, leave a comment. I'll explain it to you. Maybe in another video. I don't know. But I got to get going. I said I wasn't going to eat the rice. I ate quite a bit of the chicken. I ate almost all my vegetables. So, are you happy, Mom? I don't know. Was this okay or was this gross? I'm going to try and be gross. It's really hard to... It's like going out on a date. We need to do a mukbang and talk about dates. It's like going out on a date and you go to dinner. You ever go out on a date with somebody and you go to dinner and the chick wants to talk to you? And it's like, excuse me, I'm eating. I don't want to talk with food in my mouth. So, I don't know. I've learned real fast. Don't go on dates to dinner. If you're going to take a girl to dinner, take her on the second date. On the first date, don't take her to dinner. Do something else. Go get a coffee. Go walk around a park. Go do something else. Don't go to dinner yet, because this would be our date and we'd be talking. So what do? You know, it's an interview. You're getting interviewed. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm very caring and understanding, and oh, I love long walks on the beach. And oh, my dog Rocky. Let me tell you about Rocky. No. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just sip my latte out of a straw. Hope I cleared some questions up for you guys. Don't forget to check all the links in the video description below. And that's got all the products that I use on the daily when it comes to pressure washing, lawn care, tech stuff, and all that stuff. Alright? So keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming. I think I just spit again. I'm sorry. It's a mukbang. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the donations. We're over 3,500 now for St. Jude. 38 minutes. I'm 8 minutes over my lunch break. But who's counting? All right. I'll see you guys soon.